But now the governors of the zone say they're stepping in to appeal directly to President Tinubu to set the captive free to help stem the growing tide of insecurity in the region, which seems to be overpowering even the governors themselves. But they are not alone. Just a week ago, increasing concern about the fate of the separatist leader moved dozens of federal lawmakers across party and ethnic lines to write to President Tinubu calling for his urgent release, certain that his freedom will not only calm the fraught security situation in the southeast, but will lead to an economic renaissance, boosting the image of President Tinubu. So what difference is this high-level intervention by both governors and lawmakers on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu likely to make?
The forum deliberated on the reviewed report of the Southeast Security and Economic Summit held in Owerri on the 28th September 2023 and agreed to implement the aspects of the report pertaining to security and the economic integration of the region, and affirmed its desire to put actionable plans on the key issues agreed. The forum resolved to visit Mr. President to discuss the pressing issues, all pressing issues concerning the Southeast region. The forum also deliberated and resolved to interface with the federal government to secure the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
And that's Governor Hope Uzodimma there, who was speaking for all the other governors of the Southeast region. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from here in Abuja by the former vice presidential running mate to Atiku Abubakar in 2007, Senator Ben Obi, who's also the chairman of the governing council of the American University of Nigeria in Yola. Thank you very much indeed, Senator Obi, for joining us. I know you've got a little bit of a problem with sort of the of malaria, so thank you for taking the time and agreeing to talk to us. So you heard a bit of that clip there from Governor Hope Uzodimma, the governors resolving to interface with the president, to use Mr. Uzodimma's words, to try to secure the release of Nnamdi Kanu. What's your reaction to that?
Thank you very much, Charles, and a very good evening to Nigerians. And, I'm glad you have me on this program this evening. First of all, I must salute the candid performance of solidarity exhibited by President Obasanjo, Secretary General Emeka Yoku, the Obi of Onitsha, and the President of Ohaneze in showing solidarity with the governors of the Southeast in quest of pursuing the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Various bodies have spoken in favor of his release. You will recall that Pa Edwin Clark has spoken again and again. Pa Adebanjo has spoken. The courts also spoke. Ohaneze again and again has spoken. I do believe that the best interest of every and any government is where it is possible to secure peace and tranquility. And if there is anybody that will contribute immensely in securing peace and tranquility in any region or zone, our duty is to encourage to have that person play that role. More so when the issue at hand is more to do with somebody considered to be a political captive. But I'm happy also that the governors of the Southeast region finally came together, amongst other matters, deliberated on the issue of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and have agreed to work hand in gloves in meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in resolving the issue. I must confess I have a good relationship with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I know how he operates politically. I think he listens, and I believe that he still listens. I do not see, if all these great Nigerians have come together, calling upon him as the commander-in-chief to let Nnamdi Kanu off the hook, I do not believe he would not listen to them. I believe very strongly that the president I know will listen to these great minds and let Nnamdi Kanu off the hook, so we can try and resolve the security implications in the Southeast.
Right,
And
okay.
in addition to all of that,
Right.
I just want you to know that when a child in the finger in one direction, it's either the father or the mother is in that direction. All of us are saying the same thing. Let Nnamdi Kanu be free. And I don't. So I want to plead, join hands with the governors of the Southeast Forum to plead with President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to do the needful.
Right. Thank you for that, that opening sort of assessment from you. And you described Nnamdi Kanu as a political captive. Those were your words earlier. Would you say that he is now seen as more of someone who some have suggested, in which case, if he is a political, intercede on his behalf?
Well, the point of departure here is that the courts have set Nnamdi Kanu free, right? So if he is then it is the duty of the court to say so loud and clear. But the Court of Appeal, in its wisdom, has said to Nnamdi Kanu, go home and sin no more, if he had sinned. But then the voice of the people, they say the voice of God. Everybody has spoken from the east, from the west, from the north. People are speaking, saying, let him be, so that there can be some peace in that region. Recently, we saw the release of Sunday Igboho. Maybe that will help the Southwest. It is believed that it will help. And we can see that some of the reduced. So if we have such people in all the zones and we think and feel they can help the zones to get out of the state of insecurity, so be it. And I think that's really the point we're making here. I mean, Nnamdi Kanu has been going to about 5 years. He should not be allowed to just go there and lavish for nothing.
Right. Well, let me just come in there because
if there is a case, if there's a case, they should go and pursue the case in court effectively.
Well, I mean,
but then he has been freed by the court of law.
Yeah, I mean, they would argue that they're pursuing the case, but as you pointed out, a court has to a large extent quashed at least some of the charges against Mr. Kanu. Do you think that that gives, because oftentimes we hear the presidents, I mean, we heard Buhari say that quite a lot, that the courts the law must take its course, and the courts, it's up to the courts and so on. Do you think that that quashing of some of the charges gives the President and the Attorney General the legal basis for getting Mr. Kanu out, that's the legal, if you like, opt-out clause that can legally justify Mr. Kanu's release?
I do believe, Charles, and I'm serious about this, if you remove that dot in the circle and you think about the urgency in putting an end to the state of insecurity in a particular zone, I believe that between the Commander-in-Chief and the Attorney General of the Federation, an amicable resolution of this matter can be achieved. And it comes to, a win-win situation for all sides. Now, I saw a report earlier today that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu says he's willing to abide by whatever rules and regulations are given to him for his release. I'm also sure that the governors of the Southeast, working hand in gloves with Ohanaeze, will be prepared to take to go into some undertakings about, the situation with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu when released.
Right. Well, I'm just going to come in there briefly. How do we know, Senator Obi, that Nnamdi Kanu still has the capacity to rein in his followers and members of IPOD? Because, everybody keeps saying that if he's released, it will lessen insecurity in the Southeast. He could potentially have lost his place in the movement, and therefore any, any clout that he can wield in terms of influence may not be there anymore.
Well, I happen to know that when the President General of Ohanaeze, Chief Engineer Emmanuel Iwayo, was going to visit with Nnamdi Kanu, he had called me to accompany him, but unfortunately I was not in the country, so I did not accompany him. I couldn't accompany him as a result of that. But like I said, when a child pointing the finger in one direction, it's either the father or the mother of that child is there. So when everybody is saying, let Nnamdi Kanu be released, be put out of, so that there can be a decrease in the insecurity in the Southeast, they cannot all be saying something wrong. There must be something what they are saying and what they are seeing.
Right.
So
you don't.
It's not that Nnamdi Kanu. It's not that Nnamdi Kanu 100% will solve the state of insecurity in the Southeast, but he will contribute immensely.
Right. So you don't
in
think
resolving
that
the state of insecurity.
Right. You don't think that the converse might be the case, and we're just playing the devil's advocate here. You don't think the converse might be the case that his release might serve to reinforce the ideology of his followers and perhaps reignite their secessionist agitations?
Well, Nnamdi Kanu is human. He has gone through this year, and I'm sure it's a lesson. I'm also sure those who are agitating maybe are doing so still because Nnamdi Kanu is still. By the time we all agree and work together and we'll have all hands on deck and we are all on the same page, it surely will be an easier approach to the problems. But since we are singing from different directions now, that's the problem. So I believe in moving forward, let us all be on the same page. Let us agree with what the elder statesmen have said from across the country. Let us agree with what the Pandef, Afenifere, Ohanaeze, and the Southeast Governors Forum have said, and walk in that direction.
Right.
Let's give it a try.
Right. And I presume that's what they're trying to do. But talking about those Southeast governors, is it your sense that they have the negotiating capacity and the clout? Because, I mean, this is now, I mean, they're trying to put it basically at the foot of President Tinubu. Is it your sense that they have the negotiating capacity and the clout to really move this issue forward and get it to the top of the president's in tray?
Well, I believe that having reached this point where they have made this pronouncement and knowing full well that the Southeast has been saying, requesting for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, they are governing us. They are our governors. They are not an island unto themselves. Some of us have direct links and contacts with them. So we believe that now that they have come out to make a specific demand for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, we all must work together, hands in gloves, with Ohaneze, which is the governing body of Ndibo, home and in diaspora, to do the needful. And to believe that Nnamdi Kanu, too, as the true son of Igbo land, will listen to what the leaders are saying and also join us in doing what is right. What is important and very, very key is that we need to address the state of insecurity in the Southeast. And in addressing the state of insecurity, from my own knowledge and experience, means that we all have to be on the same page. That is the bottom line.
Okay, Senator Ben Obi, I want to thank you very much indeed for joining us and for being very forthright in expressing